Wednesday, January 22nd, 2005, Idlewild Board of Commissioners meeting. It's 1 p.m. and we'll call the meeting to order and vote to approve the agenda. So I'll make a motion that we discuss and approve the agenda.
Second.
We're going to recess from this room by 3 o'clock at the latest, hopefully a little before that, and move to the office where we can have a video conference with New Hampshire Emergency Management for Homeland Security about the 2023 declared disaster storm. And then we'll go into a non-public session after that.
Okay.
Anything on the agenda you want to add or modify, comment on? All in favor of approving this agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. We move to the minutes of January 14th, last Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the minutes of the 14th.
Second that.
Okay.
Discussion?
Oh, come
Yeah.
on.
I had,
Oh,
I didn't have any.
I had one thing.
I got two nits.
Okay, good.
Oh, okay.
Getting used to this.
Let's do the nits first.
Okay. Under Jeff's DPW report, the final bullet says Jeff also advises he is mixing a little of the salt with the sand so it does not freeze up, making it a bit more difficult for people to fill their bucket. I think that last part should be making it easier for people to fill up their bucket.
Yeah,
Okay?
yep.
And then this is a very personal nit under my reports. First bullet, yeah, my name is Wood. Not
Oh,
Wood,
sorry.
but Wood.
I'm doing it again. I'm reverting back.
Get Microsoft to fix that for you automatically.
Yeah.
That's it.
Should.
Piece of cake.
Thank you.
So the
Mark?
one I have, I think just needs to be clearer.
Okay.
Under Commissioners' reports, the first bullet, I'm talking about the check that we got a question about from Holly Evans at Emergency Management. And it says, Mark inquired as to why they would send us a check for work that we had not completed at the village. And the only answer was the payment was indeed for asphalt repairs. I think we have to tweak that a little bit, because the next thing says, we have not received the check in that amount to date. We're not expecting the check. And her answer was, at that time, was acknowledging that the work wasn't complete and we're not gonna get a check. She
Okay.
didn't say why she asked if we got one. That was kind of the point, is her answer wasn't.
Okay, so she wasn't a part of someone asking about.
She asked the question, and I asked her back, why are you
Sending us
asking if you
checks.
sent us a check for $162,000?
Yeah.
When you're only supposed to get a check for work completed?
Correct.
And she said, that's right,
Okay.
work needs to be completed. In an indirect way, she's saying, therefore, you're not getting the check
All
that
right,
I am
great.
asking you about. I don't want people to read this and say, well,
We're expecting
is her
a
check still coming for $163,000? Because
Yep.
we all know it's not.
No, correct.
That's why I want to
Try to
change these
clarify
words a
it,
little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Then later in the week, she apologized for having the flu.
Oh,
So
well,
she was
a little out of it.
stomped, I guess,
Okay.
is what was implied there.
Okay,
So, okay with that?
I am.
Anything else?
I didn't have
All in
anything.
favor of the minutes as amended? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 on that. So now at 1:04, we move to the approval of the manifest, and the first manifest is an operations and payroll manifest for $27,178.06. I'll make a motion to discuss and approve this manifest.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the Howard P. Fairfield Buffalo Turbine Seal Kit. There's two items. I guess the service, $125, and then the part on order seal kit, $626.33, for a total of $751.33. This is a firm price. This is not subject to change.
Yeah, it's all done.
It's all done.
Yes.
Okay, the reason I asked, because at the very top it says pro forma invoice. Pro forma
Right.
means as if. Okay, so it's very weird. I mean,
Right.
is this really more of like an estimate or something, or there things could change?
Nope,
They-
I believe that's the bill.
Okay, all right.
I mean, we got the machine back and that's what they gave
Yep,
Steve when he picked it up.
right.
Okay,
And the price of the kit seems to go up every time.
It looked like that had gone up this time, yeah.
Yeah.
and then you probably told us, but on the Napa Auto Parts, one of the items is listed as Blue Def Platinum. I mean, they're abbreviating, I don't know what that is, just for
Yeah,
my
the-
edification.
You have to answer this question every time we see it.
And-
That's
No.
okay. The diesel motors have exhaust fluid that you have to add to them to keep them cool, and that's what the Blue Def stuff is.
Okay,
That's why you see it a lot.
So they buy it and they're adding it to the fuel.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Well, it has its own compartment you add it to.
Oh, okay.
It adds it.
it's an additive to diesel fuel,
It's an additive to the motor
the motor.
to cool it off. It's not an additive to the
Burning fuel.
Okay, okay,
It's its own separate thing. It cools the exhaust
okay, got it.
and makes it burn cleaner, and it's supposed to be safe for the environment and all that
Okay,
stuff.
and what is Economy AW32 5 gallon? Just
That's hydraulic oil.
hydraulic oil, okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, the other one's a battery, okay, that's all, just,
That's okay.
that's all I have.
Any noteworthy things here, Nancy, that you'd like to? There was a repair for, there was a payment on the Ram truck, the 2019, of $15,067.97.
Yep, we were expecting that.
Yeah, plus
And
interest.
the interest was $142.16. That's an annual payment we're making on the truck. On the
That's the
That's the
last
final
payment.
one,
payment?
that's
That's
it,
two of
we
two.
own it now.
We now own
Oh.
it, so there's gonna be no repairs needed for it.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
It's gonna be treated with kid gloves.
The stainless steel plate and conveyor belt link, all the work they did on that spreader was $961 in parts. So with no further questions on this, $27,178.06, including the payroll for 4 employees,
Yeah.
with the overtime for storms in here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor of this manifest, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
3-0 on this manifest. So now at 107, we'll move to the next manifest, which is for the water system. And that's a manifest totaling $125.
No, huh? Breaking the bank.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to discuss and approve this manifest for $125.
Second.
aye.
No discussion on 125? What's the 125 for? At least that's the discussion. Dues for the association that we belong to, yearly dues.
Yeah,
Yep.
2025 yearly dues.
All in favor of this manifest? Say
Aye.
aye.
Aye,
3-0 on this manifest. So now at 108, we'll move to the DPW report. Good
So,
morning, good afternoon.
good
Jim.
afternoon. A couple of weeks ago, BB Chain, I talked about getting a set for the grader. I was mistaken. Those were for rounder rollers. We used the square rollers, which are the cross links. So that wasn't, I think it was around $1,080 or somewhere in that figure.
Squares are more money.
The squares were a little more money. They're like $1,150. And when he come in, he had the wrong ones, but he just showed up today with the right ones. So that figures are going to be a little bit more.
Were they on it when the graded wing back?
Those were the old
The
ones
old ones.
still. So I got the new set, which we want to put on. But so and I got a couple of shackles from him the last time he was here. I think they were like $40 a piece. They're bigger for, I told you how the front, it picks up the front plow. Every now and then they come off, they break. So we got some heavier, dutier ones from him that we could weld on there next time they break.
It's part of the hydraulics that lift that front plow? Or?
Yeah, there's like a triangle in the front that picks the plow up,
Yeah.
and it's mounted to
And
that.
the piston under it.
Yeah, the piston's underneath it, and that's in the front of it. And that shackle, the ones we've been getting, the size they hold up for a while, but we got a bigger one. I got so I got 2 of them. So when they go, we'll mount those on there and hopefully not have that problem anymore. So I just want to bring you up to speed on that. The flag, are we going back up with that now? That
The 28th is the date. That
oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
I didn't know what
Yep.
the deal was. Okay.
they
30
announced
days.
that when it came down, as the president
Oh,
stays down for.
Okay. All right, so we'll keep that down till the 28th. With the storm, it was, light fluffy snow, but that does mean it's not slippery.
Correct.
So it was real slick out there. I saw a thing the other day that 98 calls the state police had for the highways. That even shut down a part of I-95, I think, for a little while because of so many accidents that they had. So we got through that no problem. But you use material. So I did order 2 triaxle loads of salt. One came today, the other one should either be here this afternoon or tomorrow. And I got 4 more loads of sand coming as soon as I get the next load of salt to replenish the shed up.
Can you guys get in a more frequent habit of your notes getting copied to her?
Yeah.
We haven't seen any since December 12th.
Yes, I sent them again
I just updated the ones.
When did you send them?
last week. Here we go. You do this to me every time. I know I sent them. Yep,
A week ago, you sent Jeff's notes?
approximately.
Okay.
It was last week.
Yeah, it was last week. The only ones that aren't gonna be in there was Saturday, we had that like inch of, not quite an inch, but then it kinda got freezing, and then before the cold come in on Sunday and Monday. So, the only 2 that aren't gonna be on there would be those 2, that I haven't gone up to the office with.
What's the subject of that email?
I don't remember. I don't have it here.
I'll look later.
Yeah, there's so many emails sometimes.
But yeah, so we should be up to around 12 events, because like I said, I've been numbering them. And like I said, the first one, you guys probably had about 6 or 7, and then Jen and she printed the other ones off, copied them, or whatever. And,
Scanned them in.
Scanned them in for you guys. So you should be up to about 12 events if you see an email that has that on there. So I did, again, the trucks are great, but they're been used, and the plows, and we've had some parts replaced and rebuilt on the front blades on the plows. There's also, that wasn't involved in any of that stuff, the trip edges on those plows. They're spring loaded and they wear out. So I did get some pricing on some springs, and the wings have springs as well. There's a spring in the front wing block, then there's a bigger spring on the top arm and a smaller spring on the bottom arm of those wings. And we've never replaced these. The wing blocks we've replaced in the front wing block. Those springs are $33.95 a piece. I think we should get a couple of those.
$33.95 or
Yeah.
$3,395?
$33.95 a piece.
How many are on a wing?
1 on each wing. We have 2, so I think we should get 2 of those.
So this is just the Rams, not the 74?
Right, no, this isn't the international, that'd be more money, because that's bigger potatoes. But, so, the bigger spring on the upper wing arm, we've replaced that once on one of the trucks. They're $187.81 a piece. Again, I think they both should be replaced. And then the trip edge springs, there's 8 of them on each plow. Now I've talked to Alan about getting these, so he's looking into getting to do that job. That's a pretty big job. They're $76.96 a piece, and there's 8 of those.
So we would buy them and bring them to him and he'd put them on? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't know that. Before I looked at these prices on these things, because I wasn't thinking about it, I talked to Alan about doing my truck, the 19, with these springs. So he's looking to give me a price on that.
Oh, I see.
And then I called Fairfield about the other springs, so I just asked them what the front springs were and how much they cost. So he gave me a price on those as well.
So if I follow you, we're not buying these then, or no, we're not buying all this. Some of it, Albany Service Center's gonna buy?
The front ones, yes. The front ones on the 19, he's looking into giving me a price and getting me an idea what it would be to replace the trip edge.
So are you gonna be looking for a motion today to buy the things
The other ones, the wing arm springs and the block.
Are these springs alone exclusive of labor installation?
We could do those installations on the other ones, yes.
Okay, so how many springs were you talking
So
about?
I'm thinking I'd like 2 of the front wing blocks, the 2 at the $33.95.
Okay,
And
64.
I'd like to get two of the ones, 187, 81. Now, there's one other spring on these.
So each ram has 2 of the $34 ones. So you want 4 of those?
No,
There's
No,
only one on the
just
way?
one.
Okay. And 187.
Right, again,
Times
each
two.
one
Two of those,
has
okay.
one.
Right.
So we're placing each one on each truck.
Right.
Then there's another spring that the guy at HP said that they don't have, that we'd have to try to figure out where to get it or something. It's a 7-inch spring by a 1.5-inch diameter, so I gotta have him call around and see what else he could get. But I mean, ballpark figure is, I would assume that spring is probably gonna be somewhere between the $33.95 and the $76.95. I can't imagine that being more money than the more expensive spring, because it's not bigger than that. But he said he didn't have any and didn't have a price on that spring. But those springs on the wing arm should be replaced as well. So I gotta get back on the phone with him and say, well, if you don't have one and you're telling me they don't make one for that wing arm, somebody makes it somewhere. And I need a spring of that size.
Okay, but right now you need 2 springs that cost $33.95 and another 2 springs that cost $187.81, and you can install them yourselves at
Yes.
DPW. So
So
that,
I'll make a motion that we approve
that's the
a
total
value of
price.
$460 for springs for the plows for the 2 rams.
Right, I mean, would you wanna maybe add the 2 for the other springs if I can get a hold of them for something under that 76 or something like that?
Because you think you're gonna be able to possibly buy them before next meeting?
If I could, I'll talk with them tomorrow. I mean, just to see, because I mean, if they're gonna come at once, I'm gonna have to pay the shipping one time.
Yeah.
And get them all at one time and replace it all at the same time.
So I had a motion for $460, what are you adding to that?
I mean, I'd add maybe another 150. Like I said, if those springs are 75, I can't see them being more than the trip edge spring, because it's,
150 times 2?
no,
150, so now.
another
it's-
150 to the 4.
$610.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve a budget up to $610 to buy springs for the 2 ram truck plows.
I'll second
Second.
that.
Any
Give it to
discussion on
Nancy.
that?
Seniority, no, that's,
How do you vote?
Aye.
aye.
301, 610 for springs.
And yeah, that's what I have.
We had a discussion impromptu in front of the salt shed about the security rope
Oh.
that goes across.
Yes. I do
And
have
after we
something on that.
discussed it, some ideas came out, and Tony was talking about a roll across, and we kind of left it at that, and I had more thoughts about that, and then I thought, you guys might have had more thoughts about that, and
I do,
thought
actually.
that might be a pain in the neck to be rolling back and forth, but that's not what you came up with. The other thing I thought of is we'd have to secure the bottom of it too.
Right.
You thought of that too?
Yes.
Yes, okay. What was your conclusion?
Well,
You two have to see the salt shed. I got a close-up look at it. and-
right. I mean, number one, I did want to ask this too. We talked about this, getting the garage doors looked at. They are working and everything, but they haven't been looked at in a number of years and maintained or anything like that. So, I do have a
the
guy
other
that does
garage.
those. Right, of both the garages.
Oh, DPW 1 and 2.
Right.
Maintenance of the doors, they haven't been looked at as,
Yeah.
so now we're away from the salt shed.
But no, it kind of ties in.
You can have one guy come in.
So,
Yeah,
Gonna see how this
he
works.
could kind of give us, because there was a garage door on the salt shed as well
Yeah.
at one point.
Right.
So he could kind of maybe give us an idea of what that would cost. Now that's going to be your big potatoes, and the big solve all fix, that type of thing for the most money. But so we were looking, like I said, trying to come up with something, 4 foot high. It's 20 foot long. The door is 20 feet long, to try to keep people out. That would have to, be fastened securely on one side and then lock on the other side,
Right.
top and bottom, so they can't get underneath it, so to speak, and they really wouldn't be able to go over it unless you got, legs like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So what almost seemed to be like one of the best options was a pickleball net. They've got a cable across the top, a cable across the bottom, it's like a tennis net.
Yeah.
And a net. You'd have to, like I said, we'd have to rig some eye hooks or something.
How much are
secure
the
it.
paddles?
Huh?
How much are the paddles?
I'm not sure about the paddles, but the net itself was like $150. And then, with some hardware and some stuff to go along, a couple $100 maybe, might be a quick, simple.
Well, we have to have the
But
paddles to
would
whack
it
the
fit the
thieves.
Well,
but,
Like, do you know how long it is? And
they're 21 feet
so,
long,
yeah.
And the
How
opening's
tall is
20
it?
feet.
and the opening's
The
20
opening
feet.
is-
Yeah, and I think they're about 3 feet, 3 feet tall. So again,
Okay.
if you kept it a foot off the thing and you secured it
I get
tightly
you.
at the
But-
bottom,
Yeah.
but
one
this-
side
yeah.
with a lock at the bottom, one side with the
Okay.
lock at the top, and secured it, fastened it on the,
that sounds very out of the box thinking, but I still think that's really just a temporary solution. for
well,
now.
that's the thing, it is a
Not-
temporary, the main the big solution is some kind of door or,
And you have to see the abuse that everything in the way of the backhoe at night in the storm, trying to move frozen sand to get it going, is the rail that the old door used to be on is basically crumpled. And when I see that, it tells me, why would I want to buy another one of these
Like a
rigs?
garage door, yeah.
It's going to happen again, and that door is expensive because it's 20 feet wide,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how tall,
probably another 20 feet up.
at least,
Because a tractor trailer, an 18-wheeler, backs up and dumps into it from outside the building.
Yeah.
So, the reason I was down there and they came up while I was looking at it is, I would like the old barn door that just rolled out of the way, and I like them lightweight, made out of the Lexan, which is the transparent material that's the same stuff that you make bulletproof. It doesn't break. They use it for bulletproof glass.
Yeah.
GE invented a long time ago. And the problem was that there's a block base for the calcium chloride right where the door would want to open up to the left. And the opening for the salt shed is more than twice as wide as the two sidewalls that cover the front. The way you think the salt shed looks, and when you go there and look at it,
Is,
Different.
is always it's different.
yeah, okay.
Then I want to show you the stuff on the inside that's going on with the metalwork. The salt in there. And
Salt.
Putting a metal frame tent over salt maybe wasn't the greatest design. At least the whole size of it was too small for what would eventually become a place that they put salt and sand. That was
Right.
never designed to have sand put in it. So now, I think it should be 3 times the size of it.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it shouldn't be the white tent. And it should have bond, it faces directly south, which is why I like the lightweight part of the Lexan on a frame, on the rollers. But the sun shines in it all day. And so to put a door down and keep the sun out of there, kinda doesn't make sense to me. But the front of it right now doesn't lend itself to
Right,
these 2 Lexan doors that could just lock.
right.
And we don't have to worry about these guys hurting their back, lifting these things up in
Yeah.
a storm and having the things roll down and hit them, which is a story that we'll tell someday as to why we don't even have garage doors there now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's right.
so we need another picnic and go look at the salt shed so you guys have a visual on that.
Okay, bring,
And in the meantime, yes, it's a temporary fix, but we don't have, I'm not anxious to go and buy a garage door to replace the one
No.
that failed in several ways on us.
okay. So if this pickleball net, which is a really low-cost solution, even if it lasts just a season, just do it again the next season.
One heist of 8 tons of salt
Yeah, pays for
More
it.
than pays for
is
it.
more way more than the cost
Yeah.
of the
If
net.
somebody's
that might-
filling their spreader up with salt, I mean,
Yeah.
the price of that cost,
Yeah.
that diminishes that.
Okay.
So that's kind of something that we thought of. I mean, and again, it's not perfect, it's not ideal, because again, we'd have to unlock it probably from the calcium chloride side,
It's
or
just
the
a
other side,
preference.
roll it, kind of pull it back, and it's gonna get snowed on while we're in there
Yeah.
working, it's gonna maybe rain on and freeze up in there, you know what I mean? And hopefully it wouldn't be all that bad, but it is what it is. Like you say, there's no real solution besides a door, and
Yeah.
what's the best door to go with, like Mark's saying.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because there was the old door when I first started, wasn't so bad, but over time, and I don't know how old that was when I started 9 years ago, but you had to get a little muscle to open it from outside, get it up a certain height, get underneath it, and then there was a chain to pull it up all the way, and it wasn't bad doing it like that. But again, over time, it got worse and worse, and
What year Dicey was foreman?
14,
2014?
somewhere around
I
there.
came in 16, so it was
Yeah.
a couple years before my time.
Yep.
So, in the main scheme of things, then that didn't last very long.
No, do you think it was
You know what I mean,
wear and
really,
tear, or
because
do
it
you
was
think
probably-
salt kind of did a number on it or
Yeah, it was
something?
probably 6 years ago that what happened to it, you
Yeah.
know? So that didn't last very long.
Part of our discussion was if we went with the original type door and we put a motor on it, ran power up from the DPW2 garage, underground, or
Right.
some way to it. Now you get a motor up above a pile of salt. And
That's not gonna work
I
well.
don't see that lasting too
Yeah.
long.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
it wouldn't last long.
So that's the what we're up against.
Well, I like the net idea. I also think we need to get more lighting in there and some more security cameras. But
Lighting for the cameras?
lighting to help the cameras if it's a nighttime heist. Yeah. I drive past there and there is that little lighting, but it's not that bright and it only illuminates really one area.
Oh, you
Not
mean
so
the
much
whole
on the shed
area itself, right.
It's more back toward where you
Oh,
keep the
no,
gravel.
it's more for the building.
Cameras that
than
capture license plates are very expensive. It's a whole separate
Yeah.
technology.
Mhm.
Yeah, we tested game cameras out against, and if it's gotta be natural lighting, and you can't be more than 20 feet away from a direct shot of the license plate, or else
You don't
you
get
don't
it.
get anything.
Yeah.
And if it's nighttime and the headlights are on, all you see is the headlights traveling through the dark. So, do you want a motion to get a net and cables and a couple of brass locks?
No, yeah, if you guys think that might work, I mean,
There's only one way to find out.
right.
And I think a
It's
sign-
relatively inexpensive, so.
I don't know if you want to put one of the Idlewise neighborhood watch signs on the fence. It's got something that, like you say, it gets rolled up with it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it couldn't hurt.
What kind of budget?
7 signs out there already.
$150 for the net.
Yeah, I still
Yeah,
have the laminated things.
It was like around, I think it was like 149 or something like that, and then I mean some
Make a motion,
hardware.
we approve a budget of $200 for a temporary,
Will the
Barrier.
200 do with all the hardware?
I think so. I have those nice locks that we have, so I already have the
Alright.
lock. I may have to have a couple keys made up for Tony and Steve.
yeah.
But I mean, as far as those nice like the dam locks, we have a few of those, so I still have those.
Okay.
So, so I think, between that, we might have to piece of wood or something, you know what I mean? A couple little small odds and ends.
What is the length of a pickleball? I assume
21 feet.
21 feet.
Yeah. So, and I mean, it's got a cable across the top and a cable across the
And,
bottom.
and the opening of the salt shed is?
20 feet.
20 feet.
So I think we can make that work. I kind
Yeah.
of almost seemed
Yeah,
doable.
All right.
Needs a second.
second.
200.
So I
Alright.
guess if I sit up with Jen, we could pull this thing up online and maybe buy it right off the computer type of thing.
Sure,
Okay,
awesome.
with the card. And that's.
Let us know when you're putting up. We're all going to want to see this.
I know. Like you say, then we'll have to get some paddles and go from there. Because when we get a permanent solution, we could bring it down to the basketball court and set up a pickleball area.
Maybe.
By the way, the Nantucket Island, just because don't want this to get too far, Nantucket Island is thinking of outlawing pickleball courts on the entire island.
Really?
Places all over the country have a problem with the noise.
The paddles,
the-
yeah.
That hard ball.
Yeah.
When there's 8 courts, the neighbors lose their mind with the constant.
Well, I could see that.
So,
Fastest growing
Maybe we won't
game.
have
Maybe you don't want it on the basketball court.
well, if I can hear it from my house, then there's a problem.
Right.
The people around it may not like it. But anyway,
So,
what else do we have?
That's what I have.
3-0?
Yeah, 3-0.
3-0 on the.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Aye.
okay. We'll just make it official.
Well, you got to research those, what are those tire shutters that come up for trespassing?
Right.
Anything else for Jeff?
Thank
Also
you very
with us?
much.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome. You want me
Um,
to take those or get those after, or?
What?
Oh, those aren't for me.
No.
Okay. You kind of slid them. I didn't know if they were going to me or not. All right. Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
I'll
Thank
wait
you,
for
Jeff.
Diana to come over, whenever she wants to.
At 1:30, we see there's no scheduled public appearances. At 1:30, we administrators report important dates and times.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys wanted me to kind of announce some of the dates that are coming up officially, other than just posting
Sure.
to announce them.
I think you should read them out, so if
Yeah.
anybody's watching this.
So, these are the items and dates to remember.
And it'll be on the
So
website also.
They are. Deadline for declaring candidacy, January 24th. There's one commissioner for a 3-year term and a clerk position, that's a 2-year term. The administrative office is open till 5 p.m. on January 24th, in case you wanna declare.
And there'll be a commissioners meeting
Yes.
Yes.
posted.
Yes.
That will start at
3 p.m. is
Three.
posted, correct.
and end 5:30 or so.
Right.
Okay, deadline for petitioned warrant articles, February 7th. The budget hearing occurs that day as well, 6 p.m. at the Madison Town Hall right here. And then the annual meeting scheduled for March 8th. That's 8 a.m. at Madison Elementary School Gymnasium.
Voting's from 8 to
8 to 10
and then the
Yep.
deliberative session is from 10 to
till.
Whenever.
June
Yeah,
6th.
Hopefully not June 6th, but you know.
That might be a long one.
And
Okay.
annual meetings at the gym?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean,
March.
elementary.
Yeah, the elementary school.
And then if we need to go into a follow-on budget hearing, it's 1 week later,
It's 1
February
week
14th.
later, February 14th. Same place. Same
Yeah.
time.
Yep, it would also be here at 6 p.m.
Yep.
And that's on the Otherwise Village District website, which is VDOE-nh.org. You'll be on the first page.
It is. It's
Yeah,
on,
on the
it's
first
on the
page.
front page, yeah.
Okay, very good. Did we see anything from the government about that SAM?
Nothing
unique-
yet. No,
SAM is the unique identifier that
Mhm.
we need for the FEMA?
correct. And that was mailed out the same day,
That was almost 2 weeks ago now?
2 weeks ago. Well, a week and a half.
Okay,
We had a holiday, so blah, blah, yeah.
so at 1:33, we'll go to old business table items, and the first thing on here is,
Back to Porter office printer. The final plan.
Okay, we did a motion and approved this
Correct.
last week, so
Yep.
I don't know if there's anything else we need to do.
Well, I was gonna make a motion that we get it installed right away, seeing that Porter, the company, agreed that if, on the very unlikely event that the voters did not approve this, they would take it back and there'd be no extra charge.
No penalties.
No penalties, no
Yep.
penalties. So I'd like to make a motion that we get this in the office ASAP.
Aye.
Second. Do we know the size of this machine?
I talked to Jennifer
Yeah,
about it.
it's approximately the size, okay, so the only thing I can picture,
Is it
and
bigger than the
nobody's
one we
gonna
have?
know.
Bigger than one we have.
It's bigger than the one we have, but it's about the size of the cabinet that the current copier sits on. You know that
Oh, okay.
that cabinet there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Just a cabinet without the printer on top of it.
correct.
It's a floor unit, sits on the floor itself.
It can, but I don't think we have that additional piece that shows where there's extra paper. Like there's cabinet piece, and then there's, you could buy,
So you're
purchase
you're
another
comfortable with the
piece.
size of it and
I
coming in,
am.
okay?
Okay.
So the only other issue I had is, where does she store the old printer? In the unlikely event that the voters don't decide to approve this, we need the old copy
Yeah,
of the
that's
next
true.
day.
We don't wanna get rid of that.
So she
yeah.
has a
No.
plan for that also?
Yes.
Okay.
So we kinda have it in writing with emails that went back and forth to a third party that wasn't one of the commissioners of the office, but that's
Right.
the clerk, so we're okay with
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yep.
So the motion's on the floor, did it get seconded? I don't think
Yes.
so.
Yes. Nancy
Any
second.
further discussion on approving that motion?
The only thing I can bring up in discussing this with the village clerk, I bet you come time of the annual meeting, we can do a cost analysis and we'll be actually saving the taxpayers' money.
That's different from
Right.
this motion.
That's
I know,
different.
I know that, I'm just
Okay.
saying.
Yep.
That's fine,
Yep,
I'm sure
okay.
there'll be, he'll have a lot to say. He's gonna be at the meeting too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We'll be there.
And Jennifer might even speak in favor of it if she wants.
Yeah.
All in favor of the
That's
motion?
if Jennifer's there.
Oh, me.
Aye.
Right.
Right, there's no, okay. 3-0.
I think so. You?
We haven't made a motion yet
Yeah.
to say whether or not we're gonna ask Jennifer to come to
Yes.
the annual meeting.
Oh, yeah, we haven't.
So that's still open for
Yeah,
discussion.
we have time. We don't have to
Oh, yeah.
talk about it now.
I'll make a motion that Jennifer attends the meeting.
Second.
I mean, we're already into it, so let's
Yeah,
wrap it
might as
up.
well.
What are we waiting for?
Right.
Yes. Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else you wanna have at the meeting? No, usually a
Bring my
discussion.
dog?
Whether the attorney is there, whether an engineer is there, whether anybody for any of these warrant
No.
articles.
We're gonna need to get the warrant to the lawyer for review. I don't necessarily think we need to pay somebody to be there at the annual meeting. And the last couple of years, I believe Tony and Jeff came
On their own.
on their own. But we could certainly, especially if we're gonna have a couple of warrant articles towards roads, make it official and ask them to come, in which case they would be getting paid.
I see.
And we can decide on the engineer after you hear what New Hampshire Homeland Security Emergency Management has to say about FEMA,
Yes,
what warrant articles may have
I
in
see.
that.
Yeah.
Because all that's gonna require, each one of them needs its own engineering design.
right.
Well, the ones that are fixing water pipes and culverts.
Culverts,
Mhm.
yeah.
There are other ones that just fixing roads. All right, so, all set on that, so the next thing on the old business list is the Idlewild Beach project. Dan Brown estimates.
Yeah. There's two phases, which could be split up between 2 different years. Phase 1 comes in at 6,580, and let's see, that was to install 6x6 by 16-foot pressure-treated post and concrete, install meter on pressure-treated board for panel, 100 amp lockable cover, install one plug on panel on GFI breaker and lockable cover, install timer on board for lights, install 2 LED spotlights, top a post on a separate circuit facing parking lot and restrooms, install 2-inch pipe down out of the box with a 90-degree fitting facing towards the location, install cap on the end. I guess the permit and stock comes up to a cost of $3,280, and then labor to do all the work comes up to $3,300. However, Doug, text me if I'm wrong. That's Danny's estimate if he had to use an outside contractor. If we were able to use our own DPW people, this cost, the labor cost could come down a little bit lower. So that was phase 1. Phase 2 was to get an electrical line from what was installed in phase 1 down toward the beach for future use for any events there.
You mean like outlets and whatnot?
Yes, yes. Right. And that was, and mind you, all this happens after Eversource.
Yes.
Eversource does all their work at Idlewice Beach, which is costing us nothing.
Right.
But that gives us a place to start tapping into for this electrical work. The next one, phase 2, install 6x6 by 8 foot post near beach entrance. Dig a trench from meter location and existing 2-inch PVC pipe approximately 60 feet to that 6x6 post. Install double plug lock box lockable cover with 2 outdoor rated plugs.
Yeah, nice.
Run 2 sets of wiring through conduit and install 2 20-amp GFI breakers for plugs. The permit in stock for that is $2,350. The labor, $2,300. And again, I believe that the labor component could come down a little bit if we use our own guys to trench. But let's just assume for the moment that it's a completely outsourced job. If we wanted to do it all in 1 year, we are looking at a grand total of $11,230. If we were to split it up between 2 years, phase 1, $6,580, phase 2, $4,650. So,
A lot of money.
it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. For something that
We don't need,
we don't need.
may want it.
We might want it, but yeah,
We want it, but we don't necessarily need it.
correct,
Okay?
We
correct.
haven't even tried cutting some trees down, letting the light in from the light we just got back working again.
Correct,
Okay.
from the street light,
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
All right.
you know?
So this is what I told Doug when I talked to him about this. I said, for this to go forward, it would really have to be a petition warrant article. And that if he wants to spearhead that and get the 10 signatures from the voters and present it at the annual meeting, that's his right to do that.
Or the commissioners can put it on the warrant. And then every warrant article, after the text of what the warrant is the recommendation vote by the commissioners.
Yeah.
Do you remember back to
Yes.
seeing warrants?
Mhm.
So it's feasible that if we think it's too much money, but we want the voters to decide themselves, we could put it on the warrant, relieve him of having to run around and get 10 signatures, and then say, we're not recommending that we spend $11,000 on this, because we have many other things that you haven't even seen the prices of the other stuff that people
Yeah.
are gonna have on them.
Yeah.
Right,
So you can decide that it's a petition warrant article, but I'd be open to saying we can put it on the warrant ourselves, but not recommend it, but let the voters decide whether they want to cough it up or not.
Well, we're putting the weight of our recommendation, which right now I'm hearing no, on it, even though it's on our warrant. Whereas someone presenting a petition warrant article, they can try and sell it to the best of their abilities
They
to the
can,
voters.
can still
they're
sell
still
it.
gonna sell it. Either way, they're
Anybody-
presenting it.
yes, yeah,
I have no
anybody
problem
can,
with whoever's in favor of getting up and speaking for it, that's the whole idea.
right,
Right, but it isn't already prejudged.
Correct. If it's a petition warrant article, it has no record.
we can put
still-
recommendations.
they'll-
Commissioners do vote at the
Oh,
recommendation.
yeah, they'll see our vote, but at the time, they won't see our recommendation prior to
So
that.
you prefer a petition warrant article?
I think a petition warrant article is the way to go, and let whoever puts it together sell it to the voters.
What say ye, Nancy Cole?
Either way, I already had it listed out as one of the warrant articles, but we could certainly scratch that and say that it would be petitioned, you know?
And you're looking at a February 7th date.
Mm-hmm.
So you have time to
Correct.
run it?
Well,
So-
Doug did ask me about that, and I said February 7th. I believe it was February 7th, I
Yeah.
told him,
Right.
and I was correct. So, well,
To get signatures.
let's see. Yeah, Doug said, estimates assume Danny will excavate using his mini excavator DPW to remove extra material, if any.
Okay.
Let's see what the clerk prefers. And also the EPOA president. What do you prefer? Petition, or we put it on the warrant? He didn't seem to have a problem when I talked to him on the phone that
Okay.
going the petition warrant article way, but he's listening, he's watching this.
Do you have we have a motion on the floor here to approve? Do we have a motion at all right now?
Not
No.
yet, not yet. Wait, waiting for the response. Real time.
We can't be doing this.
Yeah, you actually can't be
Okay.
inviting somebody else into the commissioners'
Okay.
meeting, and he hasn't actually been announced. It's Doug Prescott that he is contacting, just so that
And they can't-
everybody knows.
They
Yes.
can't see what you're reading, and I see
can't,
it.
and,
Okay.
So
yeah,
that kind of violates 91A, but.
yeah.
All right, well, it was just a simple question. That would he, who put this together and has worked
He's
with the
influencing
electrician?
what you want to say.
Right.
So what do you want to say? You haven't heard from him, so you gotta decide.
Okay, so I'm not looking. My recommendation, it goes petition warrant article, and I don't know what he's gonna say.
Second. So now it was a vote.
Aye.
Okay, so.
Do you want to further
Yeah.
discuss the
What
petition?
is motion?
I vote aye also. How do you vote as far as that being a petition
Mark
warrant article?
seconds.
Aye,
3-0 on
3-0.
that,
Very
okay.
good.
that this goes on the warrant, this petition warrant article.
Okay, very good.
And you can come up with the wording, talking to
Doug.
whoever you want, however you want.
Right.
You can word the article, the final version that goes on the warrant, but it's gonna be, oh no, he's gonna do it.
Yeah,
It's a petition warrant article, unless
Right.
you do footwork for him, but,
yeah.
Yeah.
right, okay, so we don't write it, we don't get to change it. It goes in the warrant, and the voters can change the warrant article on the floor,
Yes.
but we can't before it gets on the
Right, but I
warrant.
gotta get it.
By February
Yeah,
7th. Yes.
that's up to the petitioners
Okay.
to make sure that they have everything in a timely manner.
Okay?
Okay.
We're all set on that, so now we move to the 2025 proposed budget, and you have unassigned fund balance on it.
Yeah, because you wanted to talk about it. You had me make a note on the last
You did?
meeting to mention it.
Do we have what the previous year's was?
No, I do not.
So if I remember what I stated when I had the audit, it was in the 200s, and this year, on January, the first manifest had it at, in the 350s. Yeah.
It was more than that, actually. It was like 370 something. Yeah.
That's after we paid the 10.
Right. So the unassigned fund balance is looking pretty good. We'll publish that for the meeting too. So you ready to go through this budget?
Yeah.
So at 1:48, so I'm trying to end this in an hour and 12
know.
minutes.
Yeah.
How about we jump the agenda and ask this gentleman if he would like us to do public appearance or whether he's here because he heard that we might go through the budget and he got so excited that
You wanted to come.
he had to sit through it.
Yes.
Yes, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
you have a public comment you'd like to make or?
No.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm just here to listen.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Very good.
This is the
What's your name?
William Brunel.
William Purnell. I'm Mark Graffam.
Am I?
This is Woody McNiven and Nancy Cole.
Hi.
Dinah Reese is the treasurer
Hello.
and Jennifer Scully is the
Administrator.
administrator.
Excellent. Nice to meet you all. I'm new to Edelweiss and just thought I'd stop in and hear what's going on.
Welcome.
Nice.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You found a place with heat on.
Yeah, sort of. Not really.
He's wearing a short sleeve shirt, so it's gotta be warm enough.
There's a copy of the budget right here if you have it.
I gave him one.
Okay. So you wanna go right down from the top all the way through?
Sure.
This was an interesting conversation last night at the selectmen's meeting that I watched live on Madison TV. They
Oh.
talked about their salaries. And what's interesting is the selectmen get $7,000 a year,
Oh, how nice.
and they meet twice a week, every
Twice-
2 weeks.
Right, only twice a month, yeah.
We meet every week for less than half the money.
Less than half.
Interesting.
Way less.
Way, far less than one. Are you saying 7,000 apiece?
Or,
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And the reason it came
we
up
get
is, they voted last year to change the size of the board from 3 members to 5 members. And they were discussing whether they're gonna expand the budget so that the 2 new members come in at the $7,000 rate, or whether they cut the existing board's pay to absorb the pay that they have to pay the 2 additional. And it got pretty colorful.
I guess.
I would think it might get colorful.
Unbelievable.
Interesting.
So with that little colorful background story, what do you want to do with the executive line here, which is R3 stipends
Mm-hmm.
every 2 weeks for,
And
and the
Dinah.
treasurer, and,
And the executive line also pays the moderator,
but not the clerk.
but not the clerk or the supervisors.
Correct.
So I think the treasurer's pay should go up. I mean, 18 years, she hasn't got a raise.
Well, we're gonna have it on the
The
warrant to increase all the lines.
you haven't either.
No, but I haven't been doing it for 18 years consistently.
Oh, I see.
I've done 5 terms
You're a lot greater.
Spread out
chunks
over
of
a
time
long-
between them.
Yeah.
So you wanna leave it?
Yeah, leave it on this, and
Yeah, so
then
with
the
the warrant
warrant article will
Okay.
take care of any increase for any of the the places that, you know, that are listed to get an increase.
So now we'll move to administrative full-time salary?
Yep.
And do you wanna put the standard 6% in there, and then that's the budget that it could be? And then if she improves her performance, she might actually get somewhere close to half of that?
I think we put the 6% in.
I
Okay,
think you did, yeah. I
We
think
did, we put the 6% in.
You already did, yeah.
So that's where the
Yeah.
proposed is, the
Yeah.
51,000.
Yeah,
and the next thing is the contracted office administrator.
yeah, that was for the part-time person, and we talked about that too.
Yep,
Right?
we're leaving that as line item?
Yeah,
Yeah, because we discussed that we would like to use outsource for
Right, we might have work that has to be
some
done.
bookkeeping or
right.
some.
There's a lot of little things we didn't get done this year, because we
correct.
didn't have time between the 4
Right.
of us. Audit is driven by the contract,
Yep,
split between operations and the water system.
Yep.
That's okay the way it is. Supplies for the office and fees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you see actual,
Yeah, that's why we increased it to the 2,000,
yeah,
to get closer to actual, because actual was just over 2,000.
right.
Printing dues and ads, even though we were over a little bit by $17 about, we're keeping it at 2,500. Travel and conference, $500 budget for that. Equipment for the office and maintenance, we have 2,100. Is that reflecting?
is that where the new printer would go?
That's gonna be a warrant is that a warrant article?
Yes,
It's funded by the warrant article also, or
yes.
just- and the payment for that is in this number?
I
No,
don't-
it'll be in the
it is
warrant
not.
article.
Well, you got, that splits up 2 different ways. There's the monthly rent lease for the printer itself.
Uh-huh.
Right,
But
that's part
then,
of the.
but
warrant.
then they calculate the next price based on the number of black and white copies made and the number of color copies made, and
8 and 12 cents.
right, but that, what you pay for that covers repairs and maintenance and toner.
But not staples and something else.
Yeah, you,
This machine staples.
Nice.
I think it probably includes any sort of supplies that go into the machine, no?
It said in this, said in the.
Oh, okay,
Hey.
so it's just strictly the toner and any repairs and maintenance that need to be done on it?
Maintenance, right.
Okay,
So we would have this line item that should, well, the warrant article will cover all the expected costs for the year.
see, I would.
Retroactive to when he puts this in, installs it, maybe next week.
Yeah,
We're
Well,
gonna pay for February.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
Yep.
because we won't have passed the warrant article yet, at that point, that will come out of this as a
So
budget
everything
line.
from the meeting going forward is covered by the warrant article.
Yes.
This has to cover from now until the meeting.
Right,
Yeah, but let's think about that. The monthly lease for the machine itself is a fixed cost, it's known. What the variable costs are, again, depends on how many black and white copies and how many color copies we make. Wouldn't that just be under operating? Because we do that anyway. We do that anyway right now with the current machine.
it is operating. We're looking at operating budget right now.
No, I'm talking with relation to how we structure the warrant article regarding the new machine. Does that make sense to you? I mean,
it does. So you're thinking the warrant article should just be the lease amount?
Well, let me ask this. This number is based on a budget last year that covered the existing machine's costs
Right,
for paper, for toner, for.
Yeah, not just that,
Right,
adds
but,
that we,
but-
it's other
but the
things.
copier was covered under this line item.
right.
And if it's in the warrant article, now this has money for copiers that it doesn't need in it for the months after the annual meeting. Not a lot of money, but it's a detail.
Right, but you're gonna need,
To add more to this if it's all out of this line item.
correct. And we're gonna need, it's a 4-year lease or.
Correct.
So, you need this line item to stay active and funded at around this type level because we're going to be using this line item for the next 3 years.
Correct.
The vote we take for the voters to approve the lease arrangement, that's good, we don't vote that every year.
No,
Okay,
yeah, like the John
so
Deere.
then it will go into the line item
Correct.
every other
Correct.
year.
Right.
So now it's a matter of what we do this year, is it all in the line item or is part of it in the warrant article?
The first year is part of the warrant article.
yeah,
This to me shouldn't change.
So we leave this number the way it is.
Yes,
And the warrant article will have a dollar amount to cover the months from the meeting to the end of the year.
correct.
And after that, it goes into this line item 100%.
That's
Right.
right.
Okay with that?
Yeah, so in other words, the first year will cover the lease for the machine itself plus all, whatever an estimate on the variable
yeah,
cost
the
of lease for
estimate.
machine.
And
Okay.
because we know it's an estimate,
Right,
if we have extra things that we need to print this year or whatever,
got it here.
we still have the funding available in this line item.
Correct.
Okay. Makes sense to me.
Okay, so travel conference stays at 500, equipment, yeah, that was equipment maintenance. Safety, $200 budget for safety, we spent nothing, we're going at 200. This is for the first aid kits?
Yes.
Yes.
Which, well, yeah.
Yeah, safety is the first aid
We
kits.
didn't restock any, we don't even know what's,
No, we just bought a bunch.
We just bought new
We
ones.
just bought new ones.
Yeah,
But there's conceivable, some of those will get used up and we need to buy some new ones.
so that stays at 200.
right.
Administrative bonus is going from 1,275 to possible 1,350.
That's a 6% increase.
Yeah, still using the
Mhm.
same.
Finance administrative payroll services. The budget for 2024 was 1,000. The actual was 2,500. We're budgeting 3,400 because we're trying to change companies.
This is for
Yes,
payroll services.
payroll
yes,
services.
Yeah.
Is that gonna be enough?
I don't know.
Yes, that will be enough.
Okay.
Did you notice that in the correspondence they're doing the name of the lady that was doing QuickBooks?
Yes,
Rosalie or something like that?
yes, I noticed that and, that would be a
Yeah,
stay away from it,
okay.
huh? Okay,
Beautiful.
moving on.
Public type
Yeah.
conversation.
All right.
Thanks, Nancy.
Legal expense, 5,000 was budgeted last year, we spent 20,681. Looks like you're not expecting that to happen again.
I'm
And
hoping.
we're
I'm
proposing
hoping.
$8,000.
Just because we know we still have a couple things that are out there.
Yeah,
That we will wind up working with the lawyer
Have to get
on.
advice on that,
So that's
yes.
why we increased it a
Yeah.
little bit, just to
Yep.
give us that little room for the things that that happened in 2024 that simply haven't been finalized yet.
Right.
So employee benefits, Social Security and FICA, we had budgeted last year for $19,575. This year we're budgeting $20,750. That's to go along with possible increases
Yep.
in rate and pay.
Yeah,
Workman's
6%.
comp was budgeted at $3,909. We spent $309.15. And we got a proposal that's raising it to $4,600.
Yep,
We know it's
Yes.
going to $4,634.
Yes.
That's what Primex quoted us?
Yep.
correct.
Okay, so that's a known fixed cost.
Yep,
As is the next line, which is unemployment insurance.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's budgeted at $1,000, against a quote of $1,097.
yep.
New Hampshire retirement system, we have, how many employees on the retirement system?
3.
Three.
Jennifer and
Jennifer and the 2
highway guys.
DPW guys.
Yep. So we're budgeting $27,000 as our contribution to the retirement system, and that matches what they contribute?
The district actually pays a little more
Okay.
than the employees.
Right.
Medical disability insurance, going down? We budgeted $55,810 last year. We didn't have a full staff most of this year,
Didn't that have to do with the family thing? A former employee used to have the whole family on?
so we only had to spend $30,861.
Right.
Note of that, that's a feature of what happened last year.
Yep.
And this year, we're budgeting $45,120.
Yes,
That's because of
the 3 employees,
Loan
there's
guns?
nobody on the family plan,
It's just them.
right?
Covers just them, the employees
Well,
themselves.
them and other half, the other
The
half,
wife, yeah.
the wife.
Right.
So that's good hiring technique, huh?
Yeah, you could have.
Then we move to government buildings, and one line item is building and grounds. We have a budget of $8,000 last year, and we have a budget of $8,000 this year.
Yeah, that pickleball net.
Yeah, and we only spent the 1,300, or close enough to say
And
1,400.
we covered porta potties out of that?
No, that comes out of Parks and Recreation.
Correct.
Right.
But if we are gonna get the garage doors looked at, that would probably be a spring thing.
Yeah,
So that would be buildings and grounds. Anything we need to
We
do,
need a lot of painting,
painting, that's buildings and grounds.
so
So
let's
do you
talk
think
about
we
that
need
for a second.
more?
Let's list out the things that we know we should be painting. We need to paint the bridge that's over the spillway on the dam.
Yes,
And that's quite an elaborate paint job because there's a lot of balusters, and you have to get on the water side of that to paint it. So having places to stand,
Mhm.
so that's kind of a difficult job. So throw a number on how much a painter would charge to paint that. I imagine that needs 2 coats, it's gonna suck it in because it hasn't been painted since it's been built.
2K? I don't know, I haven't a clue.
Balusters
Maybe
have to be fixed on that too. The balusters should be mounted, because when the guys go out to work on the dam,
yeah,
they walk using the balusters to hold themselves on a very narrow tightrope to get out to the cement work and the grade that's over it. And those balusters were not meant to be pulled from that direction. They need a support board across the bottom.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that's gonna take about $2,000 itself.
just for repairing the balusters?
Painting and repairing is $2,000 easy.
Oh,
if not more.
I threw 2K out there and I thought that was kind of
Whoa.
just for painting. I didn't know.
Do you, so,
I'd say more 3 than anything.
I'm okay with 3.
Sounds like a reasonable estimate.
And the office entrance, the little deck, the stairway and the deck,
Yep,
that needs painting.
Mm-hmm.
The bench that's
Yeah,
outside
Yeah.
needs pen
needs
10.
painting. Throw a number on painting that.
Do you think it just needs painting, or do you think there's any rotting happening on that?
I haven't got, I
Me
have, I
neither.
walk right by it from
Yeah.
10 feet away.
Okay.
$1,500?
Yeah.
So now we're at 4,500 just in painting. The Muddy Beach Pump House, we don't need to do because we're in the process of decommissioning it. That
Right.
has needed a paint job
Oh, I
for
did it.
years. The cabana? The cabana roof trim is rotting off the building.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah,
rotting.
the beams at the end are definitely could use some repair, some filling and capping.
Do you wanna look at it? You probably haven't looked at it from a painting the redwood siding. That hasn't been, and that's up in the rough weather,
Yeah.
Yeah,
top of the mountain.
So you're talking about painting the entire exterior?
Gotta maintain it, we get some expensive renters in there.
Maintaining, I agree, that there's definitely some of those beams need to be, like I said, filled with something, some sort of, whatever they use to fill the rot.
So put a budget
And
on,
cap it.
on the cabana, just in repairs, don't break it down into painting. Somewhere to start working on that building.
2,500.
So you're at 7,000 now.
yeah.
So I say we make this 10
10 instead of the 8?
and move on, yes.
Okay,
Because we spent at 1,392 last year. Heating government buildings, the budget last year was $8,000 to buy propane. We only spent $6,163, and you have a number of, the same number of 8,000. Should we leave it at 8,000?
Yeah.
mhm,
Electricity. We had a budget of $3,800, 36,
yeah.
and we spent $6,567, and this has only moved up to 49. Do we know that we're not spending money on electricity somewhere?
no,
Actually, we fixed the street light that might be burning more, right? Or is that's a fixed cost, the street light at
streetlights have their own line.
Idleways Beach?
Yeah, how did we come up with that 4,900 if it was?
Because we were thinking that if we were gonna look at the coalition, we based on their
That's right.
What they're
costs, so we
Yeah.
reduced.
Yeah, I see.
But since we're gonna be, at least for,
Eversource for
The
the
year
next
we're gonna
for this
be-
year. Yeah,
so we probably should get it closer to the actual from 2025, 24.
Well, the news has it that Eversource applied to the Public Utilities Commission to drop their rate in February.
Right, I remember you said that.
Yes,
So what I'll say here is that we leave this number at 4,900, and when we see, do we have time? Yeah, we will have time even if we change it on the floor.
yeah,
If we see that Eversource has dropped their rate to 8.8 cents per kilowatt hour from, I think it's somewhere like 10.5 now.
mhm,
We'll recalculate this number.
okay,
Telephone stays at $500. Engineering for general government buildings has a budget of 500. We'll drop it was 1,000. We're going to drop it to 500. Next, we go into insurance, property liability insurance. We get a quote on this. Last year it was $54,541.95. We got a quote for $61,741,
Mm-hmm,
Oh, man.
so that's what we pay.
yep.
That's to cover beaches, trucks, buildings.
That's a 13% increase.
Yep.
The water system.
Wow. We don't have any forest fires here. Come on, what the?
We will have some
The
claims.
number one threat to the entire area is fire.
Yeah, you said that before.
So,
Yeah.
we're not in California, but the number one threat for this area is fire.
Fire, yeah.
And we know that because we went to emergency management meetings
Yeah, through the
for-
town.
for months to lay out a plan, and the entire town group agreed that wildfire is the biggest threat. And I don't think they even discussed the flooding that happened last year that cost hundreds of thousands of
Yeah.
dollars in
Wow.
Madison, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
others. Anyway,
And the deductible, that's fixed cost.
right, we budget $850 to pay any deductible of a claim that we have to put against.
Do we wanna double that?
The deductible?
Yeah. We have 2 claims pending,
Yeah, we need to get going on this
and
too.
they're not going to be paid out in, or finished with the insurance company in 2024.
No.
So, when they get finalized with the insurance company, we're going to have deductible. So
But-
if we know we're gonna have one, we would keep one for the emergency, something happens to one of the trucks, and we have a deductible.
This is kind of like for trucks. Now, if we're talking about the same claims, the claims that we may have aren't for trucks. We did have the window that
Yeah.
I read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we'll have a deductible on it. But the other stuff is part of lost or stolen parts.
Yeah, that's property liability.
Yeah.
But are we replacing things that we need the deductible to, like a truck to, I might have this wrong. If something happens to a truck, like the one that caught on fire,
Right.
we get a certain amount with the deductible taken out of it. We need the deductible to complete the dollar amount so we can go get a new truck.
Correct.
Isn't that the idea behind this?
Yes.
But the claims that we have aren't that kind of claim where we need to come up with the deductible to buy something to replace something.
Well, it would simply reduce the amount we would get. So if we were talking about things that were unaccounted for at this point, and we went to replace them, if it came to, I don't know, $5,000 worth of stuff that we need to replace, we would be reduced by that $1,000
Right.
for the deductible.
I guess what I'm getting at was, this was created when there were truck situations that you needed the deductible to get a truck back on the road. Or,
That's the most common reason for using it,
Yes.
but we would definitely,
so what do you want this to be, having this, at the end of this discussion? You want to,
well, that's why I'm asking whether or not we need to
You said-
double
you said
it,
double.
knowing that
the unknown of what we're,
the unknown of
Okay.
what
gotcha.
Yeah,
is already out there for what we know for a claim, and then the unknown of should something happen over the course of this year.
So we'll make this one 1,700.
Can you set your own deductible?
Our deductible is set at 1,000.
It is at 1,000, so I'm trying to understand what your,
so why wouldn't we make it 2,000 to handle 2 claims? The insurance company, we have a $1,000 deductible.
Right.
So this 850 doesn't even cover the full 1,000 if over 1 claim.
Because it gets put with part of the water.
correct.
Ah.
So the 150 with water and the 850 for operations.
Right.
Gotcha, so it is 1,000. Yeah, all right.
So what is the line item for operations gonna be then?
Well,
You raising it?
So
Or
make an
you-
amount, it's a certain percentage, correct?
No, you said, I think.
In
we're
this
talking about
particular
doubling it.
case, it will be operations only,
Mhm.
so let's add it by 1,000.
Okay,
So the 850 goes to 1,000?
yes,
We don't change the water?
Correct.
yeah, okay.
Alright. So moving on to Region Association fees. It's staying at $650, and this is to join the municipal association,
Yep,
and the water system contributes to that too?
yes.
Let's see, how much is that if I follow across?
500.
That's
Paul-
not the only association, the water system joins its own association, didn't we, wasn't that 125 we just voted
Mm-hmm.
for the water?
It was water.
Yeah,
So that's why the water can't be 100, because we just spent 125 and it's gonna contribute to NHMA.
yeah, we have water listed at 500 for this year.
I'm just putting that out.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay, so we go to miscellaneous, and training and keepers of the checklist
right.
stipend. That is 2,000 under operating and it's staying at 2,000. And the water system contributes 350 towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Now we move into full-time staff for the highway department. Last year, the budget was $122,075, and we came in under budget because we didn't have the full staff, full-time people at 82. We're budgeting 125,660. Now, why would that go down by? Because
Salary,
the people we're paying now haven't, are getting paid a little less than the total amount of people that got paid last year.
Yes,
Yes,
And they're gonna catch up
right.
in years to come.
Our current foreman, his pay has increased, but
Yep,
compared to the
That's
prior
right.
foreman,
right.
yeah.
okay, so good with that?
Yep,
Mhm.
Now we go to the part-time employee, and, we budgeted $34,606 this year, we're budgeting $42,350.
That's based on actual,
mm-hmm.
because we relied on,
Yeah, he did
That
more, he did more hours than normal.
right, but that could happen again.
Because, well, a lot of that had to do with the shift of why the other budget was down, because we didn't have the full-time people.
Correct.
He covered a lot of that.
Yeah,
Right,
right, but
But he's staying up at 42.
because he has some skill sets that are still gonna take a long time for the new employee to even come close to.
He's gonna train the new employee
Right.
on the greater
He'll be able-
whole. On-call compensation, we had a budget at 3,900, we're keeping it at 3,900.
mm-hmm.
Overtime budget of $27,127. And we're gonna budget 25,000. And probably the same percentage less as it is in the base salary.
Right.
Although the way the storm's going this year,
This will be something that we'll look at towards the end of February, getting ready into the annual meeting and say, and if we need to change it on the floor, because we've had extra storms,
Yeah.
it certainly would not be the first time that's
Okay.
happened at the annual meeting.
Madison mentioned last night, the ice that we've been experiencing for weeks is costing the town like it's
Yeah.
costing us.
and materials,
It's
Yes.
mostly materials and fuel
Yeah.
and time and,
Mm.
yeah.
bonuses. A budget of 3,600 will go to a budget of 4,000. Highway roads engineering, it has a budget of 2,500, we only spent 810.
Yeah, and we were gonna drop it to the 1,500.
That's okay with me. I'm thinking that we might be running into things that we need a little engineering on this year, because we're gonna do more road work than we've done in
Years.
many years this coming year, but I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
You don't wanna match last year's budget based on that?
I was thinking of it, but if I couldn't come up with a specific example right now of a road that I'm thinking that we might need some engineering.
Linden?
Doesn't need to be engineered,
That
needs to be
quote.
repaved,
Yeah.
Yeah,
or,
okay.
Or chip
Crack
seal,
seal- crack-
crack seal and chip seal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of whether we wanted Nick to look at things like the granite that we're gonna hammer, but I don't think so. So let's leave that at 15.
leave that for now.
Equipment, repairs, supplies for the trucks. The International has an actual expenditure budget of, we spent $3,234 on the International 7400, the big truck. We spent $33,869.34. I hadn't seen that number before, the total. I was guessing that we were at 33,000.
Yeah, well, close enough.
Yep, for the grader.
Which hopefully won't come anywhere close, as close as that this year.
In the backhoe, brand new John Deere backhoe, we spent $5,641 on.
I know, put us in.
You wanna say that louder, Dinah?
So going to next page, general supplies was, for the equipment was $1,841.78. This is just a breakdown, there's a total that, the 2018 Ram truck had $11,769 spent on it. The 2019 truck that Jeff calls his truck happened to have 11,000, almost the exact same
Almost
amount.
identical, yeah.
$11,029. So the total amount budgeted last year for all of these things was $48,000. Because of the grader, we spent $78,415. And you'd be happy to know that it was on the road winging back today, which means the wing
Yes.
plow worked. He must have had brakes,
Thank
though he
God.
doesn't need them. And so this year, we're budgeting $50,000 because we're believing the grader is now gonna be okay.
Yes,
And I haven't heard them talk about the John Deere backhoe stabilizers
You know
not
what?
working. The only thing is, we have to hear is that the most recent $700 we spent for the blower, the turbine blower,
did it actually work?
it works. And
Yeah.
we won't know that again till they try to use it to clean culverts in the spring maybe.
Right.
These, bashing these equipment around on these mountain roads costs money.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And they're careful with the equipment, it's still, has a tough time.
we really think then 50,000 is a reasonable number, given how much usage this equipment gets, and the
Well-
fact that it's getting older?
Well, a simple thing would be, if you took the total amount we spent on the grader out, that would be $33,000 out of the 78. Now, the grader's gonna require some maintenance, because we're not gonna go back into a mode of not maintaining the stuff till it builds up.
Right.
If the grader had required absolutely nothing, then that would have matched the last year's budget, 46,000 roughly, roughly. But we know the grader is going to need something. Not to the tune of 33,000, but 5, 6, I don't know. I'm just wondering if 50,000 is a little light.
What's your number?
55.
55 it is. Because the trucks, it's mostly the trucks that are gonna,
Yep.
because they're a year older. So, because we named them 2018, 2019, we know that they're entering the last phase of their life expectancy as plow trucks on these mountain roads. We're not even talking about when it is that we're gonna go after a new truck.
Yep,
Yeah.
that'll be next
Snow's
year's
low.
warrant.
Yeah.
We'll put some effort into that towards this year, and
In the International,
things for
the
next year.
7400 is the oldest of
Right.
the trucks.
Yep.
Big beast, yeah.
But that truck was one of the last years before the new phase of environmental emission controls went really crazy on it. And when the truck buyers saw what the new trucks looked like, they wanted that old truck because it didn't have a lot of the expensive stuff that goes bad trying to keep the air clean.
Yep.
So, I'm kind of thinking, as long as we have a mechanic that will work on that truck,
We're good.
Keep it.
Keep it. We only put $3,200 into it last
we'll
year.
give it a nice burial in Idlewice when it stays there.
Yeah, when
I
it
mean,
stays
I-
A
over.
monument.
You know, I know it's got, I think it works fine. It's really the structural integrity of the whole
Yeah.
thing.
No.
Not the,
Tony
Yeah.
doesn't like the engine. We had a guy whack it against a huge boulder with the wing plow years ago. We spent $11,000 getting the frame straightened on that.
Yep.
And we
Oh,
lost it
geez.
for a few
Wow.
months in Rochester while they grunted that frame back
Wow.
to straighten it. It keeps performing though.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
why.
Knock on wood.
That's why we have to put it out to pasture when the time comes.
yeah.
Here.
Well, like I would say when we have reached the extremis, that's when's the time. Let's keep it going.
Yep. All right, so fuel. Last year we had a budget of 25,000. This year we have a budget of 25,000.
Mm-hmm.
Repairs. Shop supplies 10,000. We're keeping it at 10,000.
Mm.
Salt. 18,000 last year. We spent. The budget was 18,000. We spent 18,500. We're keeping it at 18,000.
This is with the new numbers now.
Mm-hmm.
Would have salt prices stayed the same or even come down a little?
What do you mean?
It's always a guess against Mother Nature
True.
as to how much we're going to need of anything when it comes to salt and sand
Yeah.
for the roads.
And in December we used a lot of salt.
Yes.
And we came in with a number that's only $500 over the budget.
Right.
This right now is keeping the budget flat for this line item.
Yeah.
January has been a big salt month. We've had a lot of ice in January.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So if you wanna
That's what I'm saying. I think we
cover
need,
January with this and raise it by the amount that we probably spent in January, because it seems to me he's getting another order,
He did. He said he did.
and that's $1,800. So I wouldn't mind raising this by at least 2,000.
20,000.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
This is where it would be good for this board and boards going forward to actually review the reports that we're talking about.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because it comes down, a lot of money gets spent on this.
Mm-hmm.
And the environmental impact of tons and tons of salt, it goes somewhere after it's on the
Yeah.
road. Sand. So we're making that 20, right?
Yep.
Salt.
Yep.
Sand, we buy $9,000. The budget was $9,000 last year. We spent $5,775 last year, actual. We're keeping this at 9,000.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Culverts and basins. I think we should finally put a new culvert in at the bottom of Blinden and Interlake and Circle.
Yeah,
I remember being out there.
that's a problem area.
Yes, it was decided that we would do that many years ago. And I
And
left the board and it never happened.
Never happened.
Now I'm back. We're gonna do it
Back with a vengeance.
this year.
Okay.
That's a diagonal across the intersection. That's gonna take,
It's a big, yeah.
that's probably gonna take three lengths of 20 feet each.
You think?
Yep. So I say this should be 2,500, because that's not the only one we'll do.
25,000.
Yep.
You just said 20.
No,
No,
the culvert
2,500.
basin
No,
is
2,500.
25, we're
Oh,
at 2,000.
You jumped down to the
Oh,
gravel line.
yeah.
Yeah, that's gravel.
I'm crossing lines. Okay.
All set on that?
Yep.
Next is the putting gravel on the roads. Every year, this line item is the one that gets hit when any other line item is eating too much for the year, the gravel gives it up. This year will be the first year, I bet, that $20,000 worth of gravel actually goes down on the roads.
Yes.
And depending upon what the voters do with a FEMA warrant article, it may be a lot more than that. But I'm okay with leaving this at 20,000
Agree.
because I want to see what it looks like to actually put $20,000 worth of
Yeah.
gravel down the road.
Yeah.
I think it's been budgeted at 20 for several years now, and it never got all $20,000
No.
put down.
Why does the water budget have 300 in there for grant?
Because when there's a water break, the DPW will bring them
Gravel?
to, some sand
Fix that
and
road.
then some gravel
Yeah.
to reset the top of where the break was.
That's reasonable. Thank you.
Except the old road agents don't put new gravel down in a road that has pavement. They use the old gravel that came out because new gravel will expand in the wintertime at a different rate than the old gravel. And that will cause what we see on Burn Drive where they cut across the road to put the water service in. Now that pitches every winter and the pavement actually comes up.
Oh,
So that's the water operator, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to talk more about that at some point too, is that it's now standard practice for our guys, our equipment, to be on site for anything to do with the water operator going into the ground. And I want to formalize that, and I want our foreman to be a data collector of water asset information, because we don't get it from the water operator. You follow what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yep.
Anyway, so I don't want to hold up our discussion of the line items, but this line item triggers it, is that I'd like to see this 300 actually go away.
I see.
That could be sand, because we do want to bed the pipes in sand, particularly when they dig up an old pipe and it wasn't bedded in sand. So
Okay,
I'd shift that
Do we wanna
gravel,
move it?
yeah.
gravel up to the sand line.
You think 300's enough?
Yep.
So that goes away and sand becomes
Yeah.
9,300?
Yeah, the water
Out
mains,
of the water budget.
the water main needs a foot of sand around it.
Yeah.
And when they're digging them back up, they should put metal tape over where the mains are so that they can sense it with a metal detector where the main is. But some of the stuff, when they dig it up, when they start to see sand, they know they're coming to a water main
I see.
before they started putting the metal tape down years ago.
Makes sense.
Communications equipment repairs, these are the radios we budget.
Mm-hmm.
Something, an antenna gets knocked off a truck, we call the company, come out because something happened with the handset that's in the trucks.
Yeah.
Right.
New handset, yeah.
So we'll leave that as it is, which is what?
1,100.
1,100, yeah.
Okay. Asphalt. Oh, wait a
No,
minute.
dust control.
Dust control.
Okay, let's talk about this. Calcium chloride down on gravel roads to keep the dust from traffic and even wind. And it helps with rain, it sheds rainwater off. Calcium chloride collects moisture out of the air and hardens the surface of the road.
Yeah, love it.
Otherwise Drive's a good example, is that's got a lot of calcium chloride in it from the years of treating it. There's a lot of roads that have pretty good traffic on it that are secondary roads that clouds of dust roll up into the houses. What I'm getting at is, I think we should be using more calcium chloride on.
But we've already increased this line item.
We did,
From the 1,600 for last year
6,100.
and to 10,000
yeah, for that purpose.
for that exact
Talked
purpose,
about.
thinking
Yep.
that we were gonna be doing more grading this year, which means we'll be putting more,
We're putting $20,000 worth of gravel
yeah.
down that doesn't
So
have
we'll
any
be
dust
putting
control.
more gravel down and it's going to need calcium chloride
it.
after it.
And a tank cost us, tank full delivered to us was like $4,000. Do you remember buying it
Yes.
last year?
Yeah,
So,
So that would give us a couple of tankfuls
2.5.
at the 10, 2.5,
So why not 3? I say this goes to 12.
Okay.
And that won't be enough to do all the gravel roads, but
no,
we can prioritize which roads have
Most traffic.
higher travel that kicks the dust up. This
Yeah.
will save you in gravel use too,
oh, yeah.
because it stays on the
Gotta keep
road.
it, Yeah,
They did it to Little Shore, and boy, the surface was great for a
Yeah.
couple of months. It was
I love it.
not only no dust, but it was
Hard.
packed and.
Can you do that to driveways too?
Yep.
You can.
Idleways Drive at the intersection of Big Loop looks like it's paved
Yeah,
because of the calcium chloride.
yeah.
And it's so hard that a pickup truck can actually leave rubber
Mm-hmm.
coming out of the intersection. They gun, it'll
Yeah.
actually leave black
Yeah.
rubber on a gravel road because of the calcium chloride.
Where's the money?
It's expensive though, that's the,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
but it's worth it.
Okay.
Where am I? With
So
asphalt?
Subcontract
Next is
equipment.
contract.
Subcontract equipment. That's renting rollers and whatever they need, pumps.
Yeah, whatever they need.
Leaf blowers if our bear blows his seal again.
2,500 we spent, so that, this is where they would rent a mini backhoe too to do culvert installation, right? I think FEMA paid, or have they reimbursed yet?
Mm.
When Barden needed the culverts replaced after the
Mhm.
big storm, they rented an excavator. That was 2023. Should we leave this at 2,500 or bring this down?
I'd leave it.
I'd leave it.
Okay. Next line is asphalt. 2,500 in asphalt,
Yeah,
25,000.
25,000.
Yeah. we didn't do much with asphalt.
We haven't fixed all the destruction that happened from the 2023 storm.
Right.
And this is one of the FEMA projects that's still on the table as a possible 75% reimbursement.
Right.
So I'd say we leave this, even though we might have a line item, we might have a warrant article
Yeah.
as a result of this afternoon's video meeting with emergency management.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll leave that at 2,500,
Okay.
25,000, excuse me.
Yep.
All right, so now we move to street lighting.
Yep.
We had a budget of $1,550, we spent $2,223, and we're proposing a budget of $2,300 for street lighting.
Mm-hmm.
We know we turned on a street light that went out, we don't know how long it's been out, but at Idleways Beach, we got the power company to fix the light,
Right.
so that's gonna cost. That's not flat fee either, is it? Those,
That's again, the same thing.
flat?
It's not flat.
It's not metered? There's no meters on it.
I thought you were talking about like First Point or something.
Doesn't have a
No.
light sensor when they come on, so, less usage in the summertime or usage in the wintertime.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah, but do they read a meter for the,
For the streetlights?
yeah,
No.
no.
Okay, then they gotta just estimate them.
No.
Yeah.
It's based on how many streetlights we have in the district.
So we were paying for the one that was,
Yes,
the
we
bulb
were.
was out
We
on.
were paying over the
How-
course
how
of the
long
year
was
for
that
the
out?
one that was out. We don't know.
Oh,
We know it was out for most of the summer last
I
year.
gotcha.
It was the lady that lives across the street that told us we should get that light back on, so
Right.
only she knows. Maybe.
Yeah.
Jennifer Nolan. All right, so we're okay with street lighting at 2,300. Now we're in Parks and Recreation, situation comedy.
So this is
Last
the-
year was 7,000. This year it's 8,000.
Yeah.
We predicting we're going to be. This is where we pay for the
Porta potties.
porta potties rentals.
Yes.
For 5 of them.
This year, Could we talk about that for a second? This year, I think we'll start with 4 of them and not put one on Porridge Shore until we build an enclosure for it, which means that we cut some trees to make a place to build the enclosure.
I'm kind of against that because I can see Porridge Shore from my home, and it gets a lot of usage all day. And if you don't have a porta potty there, guess what? They're going on Nordell's property and other people's property. So,
So we'll start with one and then we may build the enclosure for it anyway, but.
yeah, I think eventually we'll get to an enclosure, but
Right.
the point was, I heard a lot of favorable feedback on having one there last summer, with the exception of that one lady who lived
Right.
nearby
Right.
and objected to seeing a porta potty, but, yeah, and then she complained, she made some bogus complaints, like it smelled. It didn't smell. I went down there all the time. It was perfectly fine.
If anything, they're overly perfumed.
Yes.
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 Oh, that's something.
Yeah.
You get,
Yeah. Which can also
I'm not
be
kidding
something
you.
of an obnoxious smell, but
and you'd be
Yeah,
20
yeah.
yards,
at least it's
you'd be
not.
20 yards away, walking towards it in the woods, and you can smell this
Nope.
aroma.
Yeah.
And of all the
Yes,
beaches, that was the
it's-
cleanest one at
yeah.
all times.
Right.
Least use.
Yeah, but it still got use,
Yep,
because the
okay.
beaches, that beach still got a lot of good use.
Yeah, a lot of people use their kayaks and canoes and stuff right out of that
Absolutely.
beach because it's so easy to get into Big P from that.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
So we'll leave that as it is on
Yeah.
the sheet?
Mhm.
Okay, so next we have what?
We're at the bonds.
Asset management.
Oh, asset management, but that's
There's nothing on the
nothing on that.
this side.
Should I remove on the water side? That was left there and I highlighted it. I'm not sure if it should even be there.
Budgeted 10,000 and spent actual 26.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
What did we spend? 2661 on?
I'm not sure we spent it.
I don't know.
That might have happened
either.
in January.
I think it did happen very early last year.
Oh,
Oh, pre-us?
Yep,
Yep,
Old,
leftover
regime.
builds from the end of the previous year.
from the prior
I see.
year.
okay.
should that have a water budget on it at all? Or what?
Well,
Or proposed? Because there's nothing there, so.
what asset management would we possibly be doing this year?
We're gonna possibly do some pretty major water projects.
Right.
But we're focusing
We're
on
not gonna.
improving the water system and not so much on asset management
Right, correct.
systems. So we should capture the data of the new projects, but we're not building any new databases. We need
Right.
to find time to go back and fix things that have been broken in the asset management system for years.
Okay.
So even on the water side, I would think that we could probably remove this line item,
Yeah,
completely.
Right.
What do you think about that one?
Well,
Well, you
right
know-
now, it's
you
only
know,
showing up in 24 budget. And
Correct.
20, it's not
we
affecting
never
our budget
talked
for
about a budget
2025.
for 2025 for it.
So, right now, it effectively is zero for the
Correct.
2025 budget.
Right.
Want to leave it in there, but make it zero on water? Leave the line item?
Yeah, leave the line item in, because that may be a future,
We'll come back to that
yeah.
if we live long enough.
All right, okay. So should I remove
Just
any
take
of the
the numbers out.
2024 data? Okay, great.
Yeah,
Yep.
We have
Well, no, wait a
16
minute.
minutes left.
We need to leave the fact that $2,661 were actually spent.
Yeah, for 2024.
yeah, that'll stay in the
Correct.
2024 part,
Right, okay.
but for the 2025, we'll.
Zero, yeah.
There's
okay.
nothing, yeah.
So we're not removing anything, we're not adding anything.
I just
Yeah.
would
Yep, we're just gonna
wonder
leave
if
it as a
people would
zero.
question why there was 10,000 last year and why we don't have anything this year.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe some busybody.
We're going to principal bond payments.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
The greater lease is now zero. We paid for the thing outright.
In which case, that line item will get removed from the budgets,
yep.
um,
Totally, yep,
completely.
yep.
Same with Oak Ridge.
The Oak
Same with
Ridge,
Oak Ridge.
the $300,000 paving road reconstruction project at the bottom going up to number 19 has been paid for.
Yep.
We have payments left on the Ram truck.
That's the one we just paid.
Yep,
So it stays in the budget because we have the
Because we
15th.
paid
the
last year,
Because we
right.
paid it last year
Yeah.
and we're gonna do the one payment that we just made for 2025.
And that's it for that truck?
And then it'll be all done.
Jeez.
Didn't you say it was 15,000 that debit for the truck out of the checking?
it was,
So that's
including the
a little high.
interest. Yeah, it is high.
Okay.
The Rhinebeck tank project is a $50,000 payment each year,
It changes.
and that was voted to be taken out of taxes even though it's the water system.
Right.
So how many years we have left on that, do you know off the top of your head? Anybody? No? Okay. We should have that, know that when we get to the annual meeting.
I
can
got the
make a note of that.
amortization schedule here.
Okay.
2033 or
It's over
something?
35,
Oh,
20, what year?
2035?
2035.
2035, okay.
Yeah, so that's gonna be
10 more
there
years.
till long after us.
Okey-dokey.
Long after all of us.
Oh, no, you're all staying, so.
Or ghosts.
The 2018 water tank loan.
Yeah,
Is this the relining
This
one
is
that got
under water.
revoted to be doing something else? And
Uh-huh.
every year we have to explain it to ourselves was how this warrant article got mangled over the years by a variety of people.
can this be removed now?
No,
Oh,
No,
okay.
because we made payments in 2024.
Oh, we did, that's right.
and we still have more payments to make, I think, it's not over.
I don't know.
Well, then
I
we should
think we
budget
should
for it,
look at
right?
Yeah, we don't,
We
there's
should
nothing in
look
the
at that.
proposed budget for the,
Put a big asterisk on that
It's
one.
under warrant. It's gonna be
Yes, there
under,
is. There's 11,000 that gets out of water.
right. But we don't have anything proposed for 2025.
Correct.
Ah, okay, sorry.
So we would
Need to get that number.
we would need to know those numbers.
In the John Deere, looks to me like 100% of this is in the operating budget. We just discussed it, seems to be standard routine now that the backhoe is used for water operations.
So when something like that happens, that should be,
We charge against,
we should charge against
we charge the employees' time, do we charge the,
equipment time.
There's supposed to be, you figured out how much things cost an hour somewhere.
Yeah.
we have FEMA numbers for that now,
Right,
because all the equipment had numbers put on it by them,
right.
for them, I should say.
so we need to split this up between operating and water?
No,
No,
she's pointing out is that the water system pays for the backhoe use as it goes, not budgeted a percentage for the year.
for the water budget, it goes in under the repairs line.
Okay,
Because they might not use it at all, or
Right,
we could have a boom and they're out there all the time with it, assisting with, it's usually water breaks that they're involved with, not water hookups.
so how do we reconcile that against the budget?
the same way we do
Their
any
hours.
of the monthly payments that come out of the operating budget or come out of the operating account.
Yep.
And then we reimburse ourselves back from the water. You do the
Monthly.
exact same thing
Right.
with the employees and any equipment used on a water. So it gets paid for out of the water repair line,
Yep.
and then we reimburse the operating budget
Out of water.
out of water.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that part I get, but from a budget perspective, okay, you can't do
You
that.
don't-
You can't.
You can't,
You can't.
Right.
It's unknown versus unknown.
that's right, okay, got it, that's all I'm concerned about with the budget, all right, so we just leave as is.
So that's assuming that the water repair line has budgeted for backhoe time for the DPW to assist
Right,
the water operator or any contractor.
as long as that piece is in there, we're okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and that's what the water repair line is for. It's just a generic line that we put everything repair side,
And we didn't go over by paying
correct.
for the backhoe out of it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right, back, we have 10 minutes left. We're gonna stop no matter what.
Okay, yep, so these are just the
The bonds.
interest loans, the interests on the loans.
So let's pause here for a second. With 10 minutes left, we have commissioners' reports, there's no correspondence, no public appearances, no public comments. So, how do you want to budget our time? Do you want to continue with the budget and possibly not do commissioners' reports, or do you want to make sure we do commissioners' reports?
I said just go with it, keep going with the budget.
Okay. We're gonna stop at 3 o'clock, no matter what.
Okay.
So we just finished backhoe John Deere under bond interest payments, right?
Yep,
Now we go to the TAN loan. We budget $6,000 for the interest on borrowing tax anticipation note money.
Whoops, wait a minute, that's way high.
You wanna change that number?
We spent, sorry, I have
Why do we wanna say 4,700 last year?
3,500.
3,500.
why is there no?
What line are you on?
TAN, T-A-N,
TAN.
TAN.
Under
Oh,
John Deere.
It's-
So
it's-
they're not at bonds anymore, they're down,
We're-
further
Yeah,
down.
but we're below bonds interest,
The next line is tan.
above water services.
And our actual on that was 3,500.
As opposed to 0.
Right, but if we're taking out some new loans, if the warrants get approved,
That
This
has
is
nothing
just
to
tax
do, that does
anticipation
not
note.
affect that does not affect the tan.
Those loans are separate by the warrant articles.
Right.
Okay.
This is just tax anticipation notes.
okay, strictly for when we need line of credit on our operating budget, okay.
Right.
So how much did we actually pay this year?
3,500 in interest.
3,500.
And that was being very careful to make sure the bank had plenty of money. What I'm saying is, we didn't really need to borrow as much as we did as early as we did. I did that
You did.
because of the uncertainty of what we were juggling at that time.
Right,
So what I'm saying is, the $3,500 is not,
Could be less.
could be less if you wanted to really be tighter with that,
What proposed, you mean?
with how much you borrow and when,
Oh.
with the tax anticipation note.
I would think we could at least drop it to the 4,000
Okay.
from the 6.
Even though we only paid 3,500.
I'm okay with that. You like 4,000?
Yeah, yeah.
You always gotta leave yourself a little,
Wiggle room.
because we don't know when we're gonna need to hit the tan, and when we hit it depends on when the interest starts.
Right, so this is strictly.
July is always a bad month because we haven't spent anything.
So we're gonna make it because we, now through the entire operations, we're moving into water services, which is only a dozen lines or so.
Right.
First thing on water services, pump house electricity. We budgeted $46,500 last year, we spent $36,000. We're hoping the rate goes down. We're okay with 3,600, down from 46, excuse me, 36,000, down from 46,000, 46,500.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Next, we have pump house testing. We went over budget by $300. We budgeted 6,500. We did 68.25, and that may be for uranium testing that we
Uh-huh.
weren't scheduling. We were
Yes.
surprised by. And now it's 8,000. You like 8,000 now?
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay, so next is repairs for the water services. We have a budget of 50,000. We spent $45,852. We're keeping the budget at 50,000. Okay with that?
yep.
Next is the treatment, raising the pH level of the water at DPW 1. We have a budget of $10,000. We spent $2,506. This may be because they don't use sodium bicarb anymore. And so this is staying at 10,000?
Do we want to go back to sodium bicarb, or?
Well, I asked the engineer when I found out the water
Wasn't
operator stopped
using
doing it.
We got our second delivery third quarter
Of the hydroxide?
of the hydroxide, which means we will need one earlier this year, which means we're gonna have at least 3 this year.
Oh,
Which is
Oh.
why this line item always stays around 10.
Interesting.
Because
you don't know how many of those you
you
need.
don't know how many times you're gonna have to refill the tank, and depending on which, kinda like your propane
Yeah.
tank at your
Right.
house, you know?
Gotcha.
Depending on when you did it last time will depend on when you need to do it next time.
In a
Okay.
water break that throws away thousands of gallons of water makes the treatment goes along with that.
Yes,
So the little unpredictability in there is what
Right.
we bring up. So we'll leave that alone. Yes?
Yes.
yes,
Okay. So that's treatment. Next we go to pump house engineering. We have a budget of 12,500. We spent $1,244 and it's sitting at 12,500.
do we wanna drop that a little?
Well, we asked Nick to come up with a solution for a generator design for
Mhm.
pump house.
Mm-hmm,
Young Frau and DPW one?
Yep.
yep,
And so
that'll come out of that.
Yeah.
we're gonna spend more than we did last year because we were after two of the pump facilities already.
Yeah,
Okay,
right,
So we'll leave that alone.
yes.
Water monitoring. This is what we pay the water operator, and this is his whole budget for his contract. Which, this is still missing, we still need this number for the actual.
right,
So we won't, so it was 45,600 last year, we're keeping it at $45,600, this is the contract amount.
yes,
Which he can go above the contract amount with services that he provides, but,
Correct.
a lot of that's water hookup that the house user,
yeah, it comes out
Pays
of
for
the, yes,
water hookup fee.
comes out of the water hookup fee.
Pump house heat. We budgeted $1,000 for propane for the pump houses, we're budgeting $1,000 this year.
Yeah.
We're done,
What about
Skater. Skater.
we're done.
Okay.
Yeah, 5,000, and it'll stay at the
What
5,000.
about all that stuff you're gonna do to it?
It is, it's still coming, it didn't happen this year.
But aren't we anticipating it
Well-
for next year?
Let's talk about that, Nancy.
Yeah,
And we'll wait for what it, oh, he's got 2 minutes to come back. There was the grant for 25,000 that didn't cover the new computer. How, we need to pay for that.
Yes,
$5,000?
so, had a brief discussion with Tom Therian this morning. Apologize for not getting back to us from last week when I first sent him a message. So they have not, because of some internal stuff in their company, the new computer is slated to come in sometime in the next 2 weeks or so. I'm hoping that if we have the new computer set up and everything's working early February, that we could potentially still pay that 15,000 out of 2024. We contracted it in '24, we signed the work orders in
Yes.
2024.
Yeah.
The equipment was purchased in 2024. So it is possible that we could still have that as a 2024, but it depends on whether or not, or what time, what date the computer
correct,
actually shows up.
right.
So it might not be something that we need to do, but I want to get back into a contract with them where we see him on a quarterly basis, to get everything updated, to check all the alarm settings, to check all the
Comms.
computers, to go around and see all the comms at all the pump houses, And that was a system that we had worked for years.
We had contracts with him.
We had contracts with them for years.
Last board's dropped that.
And
Yeah.
it got dropped over the last couple of years, which is part of why we've been having more issues with trying to get the company to be properly.
Okay, so what we
Set up.
put in here just for the contract?
That's why,
Keep it at 5?
yeah, I wanna keep it at the 5.
Okay, I
For
would
the
like to
SCADA.
put this number in here in case, add into this, if it doesn't work out, if it's too far into February for the
Yeah.
auditor to let us use
Right.
last year.
Right.
Let's put the number in there to cover the computer stuff, and we'll take it out if it works out, because the beginning
Okay.
of February is when
Just a
we
couple
finalize
weeks.
this.
Right,
So, I would boost this by,
the 15,000 that we paid for the, or that we authorized for the computer and stuff from last year? Okay,
15,000?
yeah, that was, yeah, it was something
the
like that,
software is pretty expensive.
yeah.
The
So-
SCADA
so
software. And
you're-
they're
So what are you increasing 5,000, because
To
right now
20.
it's just 5,000.
to 20.
All right,
And we'll take it out if he delivers
okay,
in time for the auditor to let us
yeah,
put it against contracting him last year for it.
Right,
hopefully.
Okay.
right,
So right now, we're figuring it's 2025, but the auditor allows it as a 2024 expense due to the contract?
yeah, because
We'll take it out right before the
Yeah.
budget hearing, we'll
Right.
drop this.
Okay.
right. Because we did sign everything and order everything in 2024.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we recess to the office for the next phase.
Can I just say one thing?
Yep,
I have left a message for the banker at Northway, the municipal banker, to get
Oh, yeah.
those figures for the loans. I'm trying to get a number you can put on your warrant.
I asked Dinah to get a menu of dollar amounts and interest rates, if that's the way that they would do it, so that once we get an idea, once you guys see what's possible from FEMA,
Okay,
there could be some pretty big warrant articles, and we need interest rates and first payment amounts to be able to write the warrant articles for those projects.
yeah, I think I have
You do have
Please.
something,
placeholders, shall we say,
yeah.
for 2 right now, which might get changed, and just,
Is this a part of a TAN loan?
No.
They're
It's
different.
not, okay,
TANs are just anticipating tax,
that's it,
that's it.
okay.
Can't
Yep.
be used for anything
And you
else.
paid off, yeah,
Everything else has to be from other loans or
Okay.
financed other ways.
right.
yeah,
And I would like to see that next year, or next week, that we do look at the warrant articles
Oh, yeah.
and start putting some of that stuff. We got the draft
yeah,
thrown out
Yeah.
and put out there, which is good, but I'd like to get,
Numbers.
see some focus on that,
On the numbers?
on everything, for next week.
yeah,
And we won't have all the final
No.
numbers. That's not what it's,
okay.
that's not what the first go-through
Any
is
questions?
about.
Comments?
No? Thank you for your time.
That's all we have.
Yeah.
That's all, folks.
All right,
Motion to recess,
Yeah.
seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Carol.
What is it, 3:03?